that I had. Can I share my screen? Yep, let me go there. Let me go here and go here.
Yeah, you should have no problem. There you
There,
go.
can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Good. So I was walking through the whole onboarding process, going through that checklist, going through, our coaching model, tell me, show me, let me, grow me. And, I kicked it off and, had a couple of people on from the company, was recording a Zoom for another associate in another organization. And I said, our focus is pretty simple. When I talk about our focus, I hope I'm talking about the same focus that each one of you have. When you have access to, an organization whose leadership is the such of Shield Nation, and I'm talking about a lot of, our ring earners and millionaire club members and, tenured, executive directors, things like that. Maybe some of you are tired of hearing, the conversation. I happen to hear it in football. I'm watching one of the playoff games tonight. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Sometimes in our business, you hear it, you take it for granted, things like that. But I don't think you can really not talk about it enough. And with Shield Nation, what do we talk about? We talk about three things: coach and develop leaders, number one; coach to develop leaders, number two; create satisfied customers, to number three; build a lifestyle of freedom. So number one has to come before number two. Number two has to come before number three. When I'm looking at somebody who wants to be an associate, and I'm investing my time in asking the questions that I ask, I truly want to find a way to build and wrap Legal Shield and our opportunity around that individual's strengths, their interests, their dreams, their desires. No two people are exactly the same. Yeah, we've got a lot of people interested in the network side and building teams and having leveraged income. We've got many individuals who are excited about making an extra $500 to $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month just on a part-time basis. And yet we have others who are interested in the solution space and going out and, talking to decision makers and, maybe working with brokers and or, offering the employee benefits. We've got some people who like to target niche markets. I think of Will Warner. He's one of the top in the company with the gun owner's legal plan. That's a niche that he likes. Teresa Johnson and some others on the team. And I mean, Teresa's a full service associate, but Teresa also is, one of our small biz trainers and has focused on small biz. So that's the beauty really of what we have in Legal Shield and what separates Legal Shield from many other companies. So I think it's incumbent upon us to understand, slow down to speed up. I personally will never become the number one recruiter in this company or any company. That's not how I operate. I look at a smaller number of recruits to build a per capita production team that's stronger than most people who just focus on recruiting. I see a lot of people talk about recruiting, which is absolutely critical, but they'll throw 50 people against the wall and then come back later to see who sticks. I'm like, let's be more specific with how we do things. Let's target, let's zero in with the recruits we have and help each one of those individuals to be successful. When you find someone doesn't measure up or someone doesn't want what they said they initially wanted, you move on. And you got to have 10, 15, maybe 20 in your pipeline, or maybe 10, 15, 20 that are, front line to you and wide to find the 4 or 5 or 6 that want to work. So there is a lot to the number side of it. But what I'm realizing, and the big part of the call today is kind of what I have up here on the slide. And I don't think we as a body, or we as an organization, and I had this conversation with Warren, we have to do a better job in the process of working with new associates to help them transition from the W-2 world to being an entrepreneur. Transitioning from everything they were ever taught in high school and maybe college, where they go to work on Monday, are told to show up at 8, it's okay to leave at 5, typically you get an hour break at lunch, and you do a job, you do a job. Okay. It's the same thing that we're taught in school. When the bell rings, you go to another class. You sit down in your pre-assigned seat, and you don't get up from that seat until the teacher's done doing what the teacher does. It's just kind of a sad programming, that I think has kind of gotten worse. When you come into the entrepreneurial world, you don't have to show up at 8 o'clock, and we find a lot of people decide they want to sleep in. You don't have to work 5-6 days a week, and I think that's kind of why I call it the mystery of the mind. Why will a lot of people work harder for someone else than they will themselves? If we can help people better transition, whether part-time or full-time, into understanding what the W-2 world is, if you'll give that the exact same energy that you're giving a boss, treat it like the business it is, within 2 to 3 to 4 years, you'll have a lifestyle that becomes unparalleled compared to anything else you've done before. And, that's why I have this slide up here for a second. I think Darcy, Jane, correct me, I think Darcy did spend some time on the habits worksheet, talking about, what it is we control. I made some notes and I don't know quite where I put it right here, but, understanding what it is we control, the hours we work, the presentations we do, and our attitude. The hours we work, the presentations we do, and our attitude. I am guilty when I first got involved in this business, and I see probably 90+%, if not 95% of all new associates guilty of focusing on results in the beginning. And even today, if maybe you've been a senior associate, a director, or a senior director, maybe you've been in that director spot, for 4, 5, 6 years, and maybe you're tired of it and you're ready to get over the hump. I'm speaking to that group as well. You've got to beware of focusing on results. We don't control the results, but what happens here, if you look at the slide, practice isn't the thing you do when you're good. It's the thing you do that makes you good. I was so busy focusing on the results when I first got started that my attitude was bad. I couldn't understand, why wasn't I getting the results that other people were getting? And then my sponsor helped me to understand that, John, what you lack in skill, you make up in numbers. And what you make up in numbers, you eventually gain in skill. So practice isn't the thing you do when you're good. It's the thing you do that makes you good. I wasn't realizing that my activities were right. My attitude was wrong on what I was focusing on. I wasn't realizing that although I was filling my pipeline, although I had more activity than probably 95% of anybody else in the company, I wasn't getting the results others were getting. I was working hard, but I wasn't working smart. And what I didn't realize that would have helped my attitude is that every time I came up against that proverbial wall, that proverbial brick wall, every time I came up against it, I was figuring out how to get better. I was figuring out how to simplify maybe my presentation. I was figuring out how to better ask questions and meet concerns. I was figuring out how to, I guess, sharpen the axe, and if I would have just known those things in the beginning, had somebody maybe help coach me earlier, that it's not the results that are important, it's the activity but it's your attitude in that activity. It's okay that you come against that proverbial brick wall. It's okay that you get knocked down 5, 6, 7 times. It's okay you get knocked down 10 times a week. Because guess what? Each time you get knocked down, you're figuring out, how do I not get knocked down again? It happens again, then you figure it out. It happens again, then you figure it out. And eventually, you don't ever get knocked down again. Eventually, you've got people saying yes to the membership. Eventually, you've got people saying yes to the opportunity. Eventually, you've got people that are following you through that whole process, you know. And that's why, you know, it's so important to stay close to, you know, what we do, whether it's the onboarding, whether it's our coaching model, whether it's our culture, you know, all those things, you know, add up to a success model that has really been unparalleled, you know, in the direct selling or network marketing company. I mean, you can't run 35 years and have the kind of success we've had by just spraying and praying. You know, there's a method, there's a purpose to the madness. So I just hope that helps a little bit out there with the team. Again, you know, you control the number of times you do the thing. You know, what was it Watson at IBM said? Do the thing, you'll have the power. You just can't go and say, I want the power, I want the power, I want the power. You got to do the thing, and then you'll have the power. You got to go to the gym and start working out, you know, getting in shape before you maybe ever make the team. I just want to make the team. I just want to be on the team. Well, there's some things you got to do before you make the team, before you get picked for the team. You know, so I thought, you know, I think Darcy talked about it last week, but, you know, it's your attitude that keeps you engaged. It's your attitude that dictates, you know, what the success is going to look like tomorrow. Keep doing your presentations. Keep controlling the hours you work, you know, because the people are out there. They want the membership, and they certainly want the opportunity. I won't go into much more there. You know, I don't know if Darcy talked about this here, you know, the pivot point principle. Just remember, guys and gals, just we're building a day at a time, a brick at a time. I'm as guilty as any one of you is wanting it faster than it actually comes sometimes. But I have to be reminded, a day at a time, a brick at a time is a heck of a lot better than building it fast on the sand and the storm comes and wipes it out. So, Jane, you want me to see if anybody has any questions just on that before I get into some of the questions that was sent me?
Well, if they raise their hands, otherwise you can get into your questions because you've got the questions in front of you.
I do. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask in respect to kind of just what we covered here? Hey, look, it's 2024, guys. It's a new year. It's a chance for us to kind of sow the seeds to plant new fields. It's a chance for us to, you know, look at doing something maybe a little different than what we did last year or the year before. So we can set that stage any way we want. I'm going to stop sharing this screen right now. No questions on this? Gwyneth has her hand up there, so.
Yes, I wanted to know what the pivot point, whatever, principle is.
If you haven't read that part of the chapter in the habits workbook, be sure you do. And it really kind of breaks it down. But a pivot point is, you know, I say I'm doing a membership presentation with you. And at the end of the presentation, you're like, no, I've heard about this. My aunt had the product and she didn't like Legal Shield. I have a choice as to which way I pivot. You know, do I buy into your story that your aunt really didn't like the product and it didn't work? Or do I pivot in the direction that I know what my company's about and what it is I'm doing? So I have a pivot point. I can go one of two ways. I can go, you know, buy into the conversation, or I can continue to believe in what it is that I have. That would be a pivot point. And we have these pivot points 100 times a day. I mean, you know, I had an individual no-show me for a fast start training, you know, and it's not a big deal for me. You know, I've had more no-shows in the last 30 years than maybe everybody on this phone combined. At first, it just drove me bonkers, and my attitude would be affected. I can't believe they said they would come. I can't believe I drove across town. I can't believe I set up the display. I got this whole room set up to do a presentation, and I got no-showed and no-showed and no-showed. And it's like Jim Rohn said, instead of getting bitter, figure out how to get better. And that's what I did. I figured out how to get better to the point where I had over a 90% show rate. And this is when I was running cold market ads. This was when I was doing newspaper ads. So this wasn't even a warm market. So anyhow, we all have those pivot points. Good question. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Let me pull this back up and get into my code on the phone. So here was a question that came up today. And also just a quick reminder, we are forwarding out to the team. If there's anything specific, that you guys want to see, you let us know. If you want me to walk through specifically what I do in onboarding a new associate, let me know. If you want to know how I handle objections, let me know.
Yes.
If you want me to go back, someone said yes. If you want me to.
How do you onboard associates, please, sir?
Onboard associates. Okay. If you don't mind, just send Trish a follow-up message to that, because I'm not taking notes right now, and I'll do that. If you'd like to, I know Jane asked me to go back over the consumer folder. And I'll be glad to do that too. So this was a message from an associate. Which way would you go? Advanced commission or as earned if you were a business builder? I don't care if you're on the network side or the solution side. Keep your business advanced. Take as much money as you possibly can, and operate with that. So I would say stay advanced. I'm not sure what this means in its entirety, but team building, 3 wide and 4 deep, or 1 associate and go 5 deep with that individual. That question there tells me that this individual is a little bit distracted by listening to too many different people. I've taught this organization, and I've taught it, if not once, 100 times. You build width to your business. You build width. And you might have to go 15, 20, 25, 30 wide in your business to find 4 or 5 people that actually see the business the maybe the way you see it. Now, all of you on this phone are probably, in the beginning, a lot better than I was. So, I didn't know if I had to go out and see 1,000 people to find someone like, a Jane or, or a Tony or a Lisa or a Brielle or a Darcy. I just was willing to go through that 1,000 to find it as quick as I could. Sometimes you only have to go through the 30, 40, 50 people to find someone who will become an executive director. None of us know our numbers. That's why it's important we go through it. But you build width, and when you find someone that sees the business and wants to commit to it the way you commit to it, then you meet them where they are and you chase that business and help them build. So, I see Brenda out there, and if Brenda's one of those individuals on the team and, she's committed and wants to build it, her responsibility is to bring the people, and I'll bring the meeting. That's kind of the chess game. She knows that I'm committed. She knows that I will do everything from the 2-on-1s to the 3-way calls to the Zoom meetings. She's responsible to bring the people, and I'll do the meeting. Okay. I don't bring my people to Brenda's team. I don't bring my warm market and place my warm market under the organization. If Jane is a warm market contact and I knew her from college and she comes on board, she comes frontline to me. And then I build with Jane and we drive that business as deep as we possibly can. And that's why we have built the Shield Nation website. You want to teach A, how to teach B, to teach C to sponsor D. That's why the consumer folder is so important. It's duplicatable. That's why the onboarding is so important. It's duplicatable. What I do with Jane is the same thing we're going to do with her front line. It's the same thing that front line is going to do with their front line. And it's the same thing their front line is going to do with their front line. So when we get into her 4th or 5th generation, that group is doing the exact same thing that I did with Jane. Now, if Jane wants to get, I was going to swear, but I won't. If Jane wants to get goofy and crazy and start doing something different, then she's going to suffer the consequences. And I'm probably not going to go work with her. You know, if she's going to go off on some newfangled program because she saw this hot teacher out at Eric Worre's networking program, you know, then I'm done with her. You know, because this isn't a, you know, flavor of the week kind of deal. You know, that's why we spent the money we spent to build the Shield Nation site and keep it simple. You know, so, you know, build your business via width. Now, let me tell you this. As a, you know, as a elite platinum, which we are right now, we're typically at platinum 3, platinum 4. As a platinum that's closing in on their $1 million ring, if I meet somebody in Texas, there's a chance I might place them underneath Jane right now because I don't need another person frontline. I've got my frontline leaders. And now I can build some organizational depth and I don't need to go frontline again. But I have Jane in Texas, so I could build that person in with Jane. And I make sure I communicate it all up front. And then we can rock and roll. If I'm in Washington and I don't have an associate in Washington, I'm not going to place it under somebody that's going to go frontline. So, you know, don't get so caught up in these things until you get to be a platinum. Go wide to drive your business deep because that's where the money is. Okay, I hope that helps. Raise your hand if you need me to elaborate more on any of these. All right. What would you say to your warm market about keeping? This question is, what would you say to your warm market about keeping the membership past 12 months? I don't have to talk to my warm market about keeping the membership past 12 months. I don't have to. When I don't have to talk to cold market about keeping the membership for 12 months. When you get the membership, when I sell you the membership, I'm going to have you write down 3 reasons you would use the membership by the end of the week. I'm going to follow up with you to make sure that you use the membership. And part of that's always going to be the will. Once you've received a phone call from the attorneys, once you've had a chance to understand what your rights are in any given situation, why would you ever cancel the membership? If you use it and you got value for it, why would you ever cancel it? You know, now I have a lot of follow-up and I want to make sure that people continue to use it. I want to make sure they get the app, download the Legal Shield app, download the Identity Theft app. I got an alert today that for some reason knocked my credit score down 5 points. I've got an excellent credit score, and you know, somebody inquired about something, and because of that inquiry, my credit score goes down like 5 points. It's a racket, but nonetheless, an alert came up. That's beneficial to me. So why would I cancel my identity theft membership when I have all the things being monitored that I have, when I get the alerts that I have? Why would I cancel it? You know, so anyhow, somebody else, Penny asked about how do we upgrade a member on ID Shield plan. I can't tell you, Penny, you got to go to the company. I do know that the investment that the company's making into the infrastructure, the investment that they have, as I talked about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago after the meeting with Warren, on our chief technology officers, our chief information officers, our new vice president of attorney resources, our new product development person, and then we have another person, Dana, who is completely going through how they report our commissions and our financial reports in our back office. All these things are being upgraded. All these things are being looked at and changed to better benefit and to better serve you and I as associates. So as far as upgrading to the $29.95 plan and you know, your back office and how that wasn't able to happen, I don't know. But you know, tomorrow you'll be able to get on with the company, and somebody there, I know will certainly be able to help you. Somebody else asked a question about our competition. Is US Law Shield a concern? No, they're not a concern. LegalZoom's not a concern. Rocket Lawyer's not a concern. You know, we're still the best at what we do. We interface with people, we talk to people, and people today would still rather buy from somebody they know or somebody they've met than a stranger online. So those companies can be a distraction. Those companies should, how do I want to say it? Competition should make each one of us want to work harder about how we present and how professional we are. Know your product, know your goods, know your services, and when you know it, you're going to be able to explain it better than anybody else, you know? So, let's see. Somebody asked a question, Jane, on the consumer folder presentation. And I think the basis of that conversation was, should we put the consumer folder in someone else's hand? Before I give the consumer folder, if I'm doing the presentation at a Panera Bread, or if I'm doing it wherever I might be doing it, I have the consumer folder sitting in my hands, and I just turn it upside down, and I've got a pen or a marker where I'm going through, and I'm just holding it next to the question that I might be asking. So I don't put the consumer folder in someone else's hand. It's the same thing I do in a group presentation. I don't pass the consumer folders out ahead of time. I do the presentation, and I'll have it on a PowerPoint. I'll have it up there to present. I'll do the presentation, but I'll make sure afterwards that they have it as a takeaway, that they have it, that it is a leave behind. I am the brand for Legal Shield. Legal Shield is not the brand. John Hoffman is the brand in the presentation. If Jane says, John, I like what I heard, I want to go talk to my husband, I'm like, great. She takes that consumer folder home. She can now present it to her husband because it's all right there. We just went through it. If it takes her 3 days or a week to make a decision, she's going to have my contact information. She's going to have everything about me right there on that consumer folder, and she's not going to go to the corporate site and sign up. If you do put the consumer folder or the presentation material in people's hands, and then you start the presentation, yeah, you're going to get people distracted, and they're going to start, fiddling around, and they're going to start, kind of reading through it, and they're going to be ahead of you, and they're going to be looking at things that maybe you're not talking about. Just always remember, operate with a position of strength. It's your bat, your ball, your game. You control the situation, and people will respect you for doing that. So those were some of the questions, Jane, that came through. There were a few others, but I don't want to go too much longer without, open it back up and see if anybody has anything they'd like to ask in respect to what we shared. I haven't even looked at chat, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
there.
I'm looking in the chat. Well, the first question was what's the pivot point principle, which you discussed? Are there any small business membership scripts?
Yes, there are.
And they're on Shield Nation, correct?
There are some on Shield Nation, but I also know that we have Carlos and Sheila Bird, Teresa Johnson. We have, I think, 1 or 2 other people that are now small biz trainer. Katie Huff are small biz trainers. So we're going to see what updated material they have coming out. Melissa Peters is also working with that group, and Melissa always, I think, does a good job on how to present the benefits and ask the right kind of questions. So as we update that, just look to Shield Nation under what's new, and we'll make sure it's there.
Okay, and I'm putting in the chat. I put the link for the Shield Nation consumer folder. A couple people asked where they could find it and what it is, so I put that link in there. Also, Gwyneth, go to Shield Nation and look under the resources. I'm trying to flip back and forth here to find.
And let me say this, Jane, too. If you're on this call here and this is the first time you're hearing about the consumer folder, I suggest that you go to your upline and you say, why haven't you taught me about the consumer folder? And why haven't you taught me about the Shield Nation site? Hey, that's what you do. You know, it's kind of like having gold in your backyard and saying, I'm gonna keep all the gold for myself. Well, I've already got all the gold. Who would like to have some of the gold? Golly.
John, I'm looking for the Wealth Builder tracking form. I'm not seeing the link for the tracking forms right now. Someone asked about it.
It's on there.
Okay.
It'll be, I don't have Shield Nation pulled up right now. I
Okay.
believe, it's in the same, Darcy actually does a training on it. So if
Right.
you can find it, Jane, send me a message and I'll make sure Trish gets a message out and highlights it maybe better.
Yeah, yeah, because it used to say forms, but there's nothing that says forms on here now.
Yeah, it's probably in the onboarding process.
Okay.
I think that's where it is. And by the way, Gloria Houghton, congratulations for being the coldest place on earth, minus 32 Celsius.
Yeah,
John-
it's cold.
John, you are right. It's under the under onboarding, and you have to scroll down. Gwyneth, scroll down to share the service and opportunity, and you will see Wealth Builders tracking system.
I've got that. My question is there, I do it in pen and ink. Is there an electronic way so I can go back with, prospect A and I'm on the, 3 pages from that. And then I have to look for where it is. Like if it were in, what do you call it? Oh, Excel, you can go back and forth and update.
You get you an Excel spreadsheet on it. That's not a problem. I mean, I keep all of mine in a file and I just put numbers at the top.
Okay, so just do it.
That kind of just helps me reference it that way. But I'm still kind of slow to transition to technology. I still like the paper and the way I take notes.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm not saying my way's right, but but I can get you an Excel spreadsheet on it.
That would be awesome, John. Thank you.
Yeah, you got to remind me. I mean, you got to send me an email and I'll have.
I will.
Okay. All right.
Hey, John, it's Katie.
Hi, Katie. Hey, Katie.
Hey, sorry,
Katie, I'm sorry, hon. Good to see you. Did you hear about the small biz script? Were you on hearing that?
I did, and I apologize. I was in a meeting and I'm in the car driving home and wanted to jump on. And yeah, there is all kinds of information with the small business, small group council and trainers. We will be doing all kinds of trainings on a monthly basis all across the country. And there is all kinds of information regarding how to serve up the small business plan, and the flat sheets that Melissa has created are incredible. I mean, I think everyone is going to be so happy because it's just like, it's so no-brainer that you can read it and you'll be so grateful that, there's just bullet point after bullet point and what to say and how to go about it. So, and by going to those trainings, it's truly going to be a game changer because of them. We as the trainers will be focusing on obviously being able to, help people on a not just a monthly basis with the training, but there also will be weekly calls. So it's going to be really, really helpful. So I just wanted people to know that.
Yeah, if you'll get that to me, then I'll go ahead and broadcast it out to everybody. We'll post it on the Shield Nation site. And if you do come up with any scripts that we can put up there, let us know. Yeah, getting everybody plugged in will be fantastic. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I've been doing this for 25 years and I'm more excited now because of what all that is being done to everybody. Good.
Well, I lost you. You had an elk run out in front of you or something.
Anyway, I'm sorry I was late, but I was able to jump on.
Katie, we're getting about every third word, so. Okay. All right, guys, we heard from Miss Katie Huff, so we will get that up on the site, and I'll also get a broadcast out as to what's kind of happening with the small biz trainers and the calls that they're doing. Who else? All right, I think we've gone over, Jane, but if there's nobody else,
I think it's good. Yeah, we are a bit over, but I don't see any more questions coming in.
all right.
Just one last question, and I can send a message to you and Trish. I think Trish was gonna work on getting who in Shield Nation is on Performance Club, because I'm still actively looking for a good workout partner within Shield Nation and want to try and reach out to people again.
All right. I have asked Dolores so that we could get a recognition page up for all Performance Club qualifiers. I don't know why that's taken so long. I have just got some of the ring earner stuff up. Or I should have just gotten some of the ring earner Excel spreadsheets updated. So anyhow, this is also a good place, guys, for anybody else that might be looking for workout partners. If you will let Shield Nation know, yeah, Gloria, I got you for sure. If you'll let Shield Nation know, then we can match some of you guys up, because Gloria's been looking for a workout partner, and I know we got a few other on the team doing the same thing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can
Mark.
you remind what a workout partner is?
What a workout partner is? Was that the question?
Yes, it was.
A workout partner is somebody that you have that you can do three-way calls with. A workout partner is somebody that you can have goal planning sessions with, that you can have accountability with on your Wealth Builders tracking form, your PDA. You know, someone that's going to encourage you to hit your numbers and be accountable to what the processes are. So three-way calls is a big one. Zooms is another one.
Can you remind me, John, how I would let legal or Shield Nation know that I'm interested in getting a workout partner? Is there an email address or just post on the group?
Yeah, you'll see that when you register over at Shield Nation, you'll see that the contact is support@shieldnation.com. And
Great, thank
you'll
you.
just inquire there, then we'll rally around it and make sure we're communicating out to the team. So support@shieldnation.com. And that's Trish. All right. All right, everybody. Jane, we good on your end?
I think so. I don't see any more questions coming.
Okay, man. Everybody keep their warm clothes on and sleep in your long underwear tonight.
Really.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you,
Bye,
John.
everyone.
Excellent
Thank
meeting.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Excellent.
Night,
Good
guys.
night.
Thank you.
Good
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.